You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Friday. Yes, we're a little bit later on Friday because sometimes the schedules don't align because maybe somebody wakes up super late. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who that would have been. But regardless, we are back. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire. And next to me on the screen, you can see the Mackey Award-winning tight end, Jake Butt, joins us like he does every Friday. Jake, we have yet another. I guess we could say this one's actually a big game. When was the last time we could say that about a Rutgers game?
Right. I mean, well, it's a big game because it's the start of the Big Ten season. We got our feet wet. We're starting to figure out what this Michigan team's about, but it's Big Ten play. This is where it really counts. If you have goals of a Big Ten championship, which it looks like this team is very capable of, it's going to start this Saturday with Michigan putting on a complete game against Rutgers.
Well, this is going to probably be the most complete team that Michigan will have seen so far this year. It's a 3-0 Rutgers team. While they aren't necessarily lights out offensively, I mean, they are near the top in the country in scoring offense. Obviously, the defense has been continually pretty good, ranked number 15 in the country. They are also 15th in the country in pass defense, but that is going to take a hit this week because Max Melton was arrested for a paintball incident. Nonetheless, Jake, when you look at this game, what are you expecting in sense of, I don't know yet, obviously, if Rutgers is as good as, say, Washington. And a lot of people are downplaying what Washington was. Washington's offense is putrid. We know that much. But defensively, it's very good. This Rutgers team might be a step up. How much do you feel like this game is another game where Michigan can do the same things it's been doing, or is it going to be a much more difficult outing for the Wolverines?
Yeah, I'm looking for more of the same. I think we've kind of started to see Michigan's identity, which is going to be to run the ball, the ground and pound, play good defense, and just overall sound special teams. But I think Greg Schiano's done a great job turning this Rutgers program around. Just a couple of years ago, my senior year, we beat them 78-0. We kind of embarrassed them. We rolled them, throughout the entire game. But I don't think you're going to see that type of, lack of respect or lack of ability to execute by this Rutgers team. I think they have more talent. I think they have better coaching. And of course, they're 3-0 as well. And, when teams come into the big house, everybody wants a piece of the University of Michigan. We are the leaders in the best. We are the winningest program in college football history. Everybody knows that. Our opponents know that, and they want a piece of us. But ultimately, I still think Michigan should have success running the ball. I think our defense outmatches their offense. And I'm ultimately expecting another dominant, clean win by the Michigan Wolverines.
Rutgers does have a little susceptibility in run defense. They're in the mid to bottom 40s. The number escapes me. It's somewhere around 49th, I believe, in the country in rush defense. Certainly an undersized defensive line. It certainly can play into Michigan's hands. But you look at the other side of the ball, while Rutgers isn't lighting up the statistics when it comes to passing, running. I mean, they're doing okay. Noah Vedral is PFF's 8th ranked quarterback out of 14. I mean, that's certainly improvement for a team that had, like you said, you look back, everyone thinks of the 78-0. I certainly do. I remember how quickly that stadium emptied out because I was there at that game, of course, on the sidelines. But nonetheless, this is a Rutgers team that its offense feeds off of an opportunistic defense. Their turnover margin, they're one of the tops in the country. I believe number 2 in the country in turnover margin because they get turnovers, but they have yet to turn the ball over. What's the challenge for Michigan in when you look at the defense going up against, Michigan's offense going up against the defense, especially in the sense that, Michigan hasn't turned the ball over either, but they haven't necessarily seen a defense that thrives off of turnovers the way that Rutgers does.
Yeah, well, this is where you really get to this is where a guy like Cade McNamara, you feel really good entering a game like this. Again, we talked about Cade, and of course, this is where Cade kind of came into his own last season, got the nod, and of course beat Rutgers last year. Cade looking to do, the similar thing again. And the number one thing you like about a guy like Cade McNamara is ball security. He's not going out there and making high risk, dumb throws. He's not thinking that he can just fit things into a tight window. He's going to be smart with the football. He understands where his outlets and his checkdowns are, because Rutgers is, what do we have them at? I think they're fourth in the nation, averaging 4.6 sacks per game. So they are getting after quarterbacks. But again, the way our offensive line's been playing this year, I still expect them to maybe not completely shut down the quarterback pressure, but I think they should still be able to, hem up this defensive line, this pass rush, give Cade time in the pocket. And of course, if you're running the ball, that obviously is going to slow down the pass rush as well. So I think, up front, it's going to start with the running game, getting Blake Corum going, getting Hassan Haskins going, getting some of those jet sweeps and reverses we've had success with, just to kind of try to get the defense on their heels. And then you'll start to see play action incorporated. And of course, like you said, Max Melton's going to be out this week. So we're going to have to try to take advantage of that lack of depth in the secondary.
Well, the good news for Michigan with the offensive line, obviously Michigan has not tried to pass the ball much at all this year. 17 pass attempts this past week, 17 pass attempts week 1, and 15 in week 2. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities to get to the quarterback, but Michigan is protecting among the best in the country when it comes to protecting Cade McNamara or JJ McCarthy, no matter who has been back there. So that bodes well. On the other side of the ball, I am curious, though, with Michigan's defense going up against Rutgers' offense. Again, they haven't turned the ball over yet either, but they have done not as good of a job when it comes to protecting Noah Vedral. How much do you see this as an opportunity for Michigan to finally maybe create the type of havoc that we know they can? Because a lot of teams get rid of the ball quickly. I'm sure Rutgers will try to do that, but with this offensive line that Rutgers has, it has not been nearly as good, obviously, as Michigan's, which right now is looking among the best in the country. But how much do you think there's an opportunity for Aiden Hutchinson and company, David Ajabo, Taylor Upshaw, Mike Morris, to really flex and really finally get to the passer?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at who this Rutgers offense is, with Vedral under center, he's completing 72% of his passes. You talked about it, that PFF has him rated as, I think you said, 8th best quarterback, top 10 quarterback in the country. Of course, what we're finding with them too is he's completing a lot of his passes, but a significant portion of those passes are going to be within 10 yards. They're going to be the short to intermediate passes, and a lot of their work is getting done after the catch. So I think you hit on it, is we're going to have to make him uncomfortable. We're going to have to try to generate a pass rush just with our typical 4 guys. But, I think we might incorporate a little bit more blitz packages, just something to make sure that Vedral's a little bit uncomfortable in the pocket and try to force some errant throws. Of course, when you can hit a quarterback and really knock the wind out of them, that's another momentum shift as well. It really kind of forces the offense to be back on their heels. And of course, the quarterback, when he's sitting there in the pocket, the more he's getting hit and pounded, the less comfortable he's feeling distributing the ball around the field. So, Michigan's been really sound tackling, especially tackling in space. So I think, our defense has an advantage over some of the opponents Rutgers has seen throughout the season. But it's going to be really important on those short, quick passes that we rally to the ball and we tackle clean and try to get Rutgers behind the sticks.
Now, for some reason, I forgot that this is a podcast and not the other show, not X's and O's. So I kind of forgot we do have to go to a break here. But Jake, you have heard me tell you so much about Built Bar, how much I love Built Bar. I'm gonna have to get you some Built Bars here before too long. It's so you can try some. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. It's low calorie, low carb, high protein. I tend to eat 2 at a time because I'm a glutton, but also because I can do so with it being low calorie, low carb, high protein, and having 2 at a time is still lower percentages in the negatives and higher in the positive, which is the protein, than getting like a Metrics Big 100. I've bought dozens of boxes on my own with my own money. That's true. And a lot of you out there, I'm pointing at you, the listener / viewer, have done the same. And I've only heard positive things, and so many of you addicted to Built Bar. So go to built.com. I keep on forgetting. They changed it to built.com. Put in promo code LOCKED15, get 15% off of your next order. Built.com, LOCKED15 is the promo code. All right, let's Jake, I was wondering here as we think about what this Michigan team actually is, because I think if this is a type of game where no matter what Rutgers presents, certainly it's a vastly improved team. Greg Schiano's done a really good job. To me, this game still says more about Michigan than anything. I got asked the question on the podcast yesterday for the mailbag. What position group are you least confident in going into this to Big Ten play? And it took me a long time to get to my answer. I'll share my answer with you momentarily. If it takes you a minute, that's cool. But when you think about what you've seen so far from this Michigan team, what position group are you least confident in going into Big Ten play?
Well, for me, I don't know that it's a matter of like least confident, and it's a group effort. Of course, I'm okay with us running the ball, and it's maybe a little bit more glaring in modern day college football, where some teams are throwing it 40, 50, 60 times a game. So for us to be averaging 17 pass attempts per game, there's, it's going to be, swayed heavily by, what we're used to seeing from other teams. But, of course, with the Ronnie Bell injury, I want to see something out of our wide receiver core. I want to give our offensive coordinator a reason to air the ball out, a reason to put in, those play action plays when the safeties are starting to suck up and they have to honor the run. Can we take the top off the defense? Can we, can Cade sit back there, give a run fake, get back 10, 12 yards deep, and then just launch one down the field? And who's going to be our guy that'll go get the ball and give an explosive play? So I don't know that it's least confident, but of course, we just haven't seen as much out of the passing game as we have in the running game. Of course, I'm the most confident in our running back and our offensive line complementing each other. But again, we talked about it. We touched on it a little bit. I think we're capable of it, but I want to see us demonstrate an ability to air the ball out and be a fully multidimensional offense.
That's the answer that I gave in the on the Thursday podcast as well. So we're thinking the same thing. I do want to know as well, though, like when you look at a game like this, it's coming the week before Wisconsin. I don't think Michigan's overlooking Rutgers at all. I think that's the benefit of having gone to triple overtime against the Scarlet Knights a year ago, a game in which, oh man, that was that was a long one. I was there. I didn't get to leave the stadium until like 2 or 3, and I went back to the hotel and kept working, and then woke up early and went to the airport and kept working at the airport. It was that type of thing, But when you think about the fact that Wisconsin is next, and you've been on some of these teams that have had, games that were bigger, obviously, than others. I think back to your senior year, having like that Wisconsin game coming up, and then you had, and there was Penn State, I believe, the week before. I might have that backwards, but I think they were back to back, I believe. But how much do you feel like, from a coaching perspective, putting yourself in the coach's shoes, do they want to try to still keep things reeled in before they go to Madison? Because obviously you don't want to show too much. Yeah, you might want to try to amp up the passing game a little bit so you get your guys a little bit more confidence. But how much do you want to keep that reeled in before going to Madison, a place where Michigan hasn't won since 2001?
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is that this team doesn't overlook anybody. Every single week should be treated like it's a Big Ten championship. And again, that's just the way the program's been the past couple of years. We are not afforded the ability to overlook anybody or to take anybody lightly. If we want to get the respect back on our names, we're going to have to go out there and dominate opponents week in, week out. It doesn't matter. And what I've seen so far this season is, and of course, the coaches matter, but it's player leadership. It's ultimately, it's the way the players take the field. It's the mindset the players have when they, go out there and touch the banner. So, so far this season, we haven't ultimately been challenged too much, but each game the team has come out firing and they've come out playing with passion, and they've, it seems they've been taking every single opponent, strongly. They haven't been overlooking anyone or taking anybody lightly. It seems like, when they come out on the field, that they understand the way that people have viewed our program the past couple of years, and that they do need to go out there and dominate, and they do need to go out there and throw the first punch, throw the second punch, and ultimately throw the last punch as well. So far what I've seen this season is exactly what I expect to see again this Saturday, which is a prepared team, a focused team, and a team that's going to execute in all three phases of the game from the first quarter to the last.
Yep. And I think we will too. I'm curious how much more we see and how much more that how much more the coaches feel like they need to put out there and get the guys comfortable. And I wonder with that Max Melton injury, how much that's going to have an impact on Michigan deciding, all right, maybe we're going to toss at that other guy. The only problem is Kason Abraham, the backup to Max Melton, is one of the guys. I believe he has one of the interceptions for the team. I could be wrong, but I remember he had some stat that was in the high positive for Rutgers, but still losing your best defensive back is no good. And that can certainly be an opportunity for Michigan to kind of work on that passing game. Let's continue momentarily. We'll get our score predictions here in a moment. But before we do, I've got to tell you a little something about BetOnline.ag. It's back better than ever because football is back. All eyes are now on the gridiron as teams have started the season. We are 1/4 of the way through college football, 2 games into the 17 regular season NFL grind. Jake, I'd imagine you've got to be happy not to have to go 17, man. But anyway, betonline.ag is your number one spot for all of the pro and college football action this season. With a new and updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, betonline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head over to betonline.ag, sign up today. You receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use that promo code Locked On from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, let's finish out. We have a couple other things to talk about. One thing that I wanted to ask you, Jake, is because obviously we were both very frustrated around halftime of the Washington game by the lack of passing, and then they came out with that obviously that 7 or that 8 play drive, all runs. And while we still want to see more from the passing game, it became evident that Michigan could manhandle up front. But it's funny to me because I've spent, as one of our loyal listeners noted to me, I have spent the entire week trying to essentially convince a bunch of men that, I'm sure there's women out there too, but that it's okay to love again, in the sense that Michigan fans they have PTSD. They're so afraid to, I'm not saying buy into this team, but like at least enjoy the season as it comes, because like I said on the radio today with Jamie Morris, Michigan could lose this game or lose to Wisconsin. That doesn't mean that the season is a loss, right? You could run the table from there, just like the 2018 team did after beating Notre Dame at the beginning of the season. But what do you say to Michigan fans that are still that are really struggling, that say, I just want to know that this team is for real before I buy in? Do you have anything you can say to them to say, like, you know what, maybe you should buy in a little bit more now?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I found myself with that same pain in my heart, and just it just takes the air out of you because you have such high hopes, and of course, you see it every single offseason. There's you go through spring ball, and man, this team is the most talented I've seen. This locker room, this locker room is tight. We have some new plays in, some new schemes, and you get a lot of promises. And as a fan, you can only take so much of hearing it before you ultimately have to see it, but I'll tell you, you can watch and trust your eyes. If you were doubting it the past couple of years, ultimately, even last year, ultimately the doubt was a little bit warranted. We underperformed, but what I'm seeing from this team is I haven't been given a reason to doubt. In fact, I am starting to love again. I like that phrase. I think it was beautifully put. Like, can you kind of let your guard down and say, hey, I trust these guys. I do believe in these guys, and I think they can do something special. We don't know how special this team is yet. We won't know ultimately until they get tested. Maybe that's this week. Maybe it's against Wisconsin next week. But this is Big Ten play. These games really do count. We are going to get Rutgers' best shot. So, we're going to continue to find out about this team each week. And just the passion these guys are playing with. I was at that Washington game, and you look at the way the defense, it's one thing to make a play, but do you have all 11 guys flying to the ball and celebrating together? Like, the passion, you can't fake it. You can feel it. I'm sure you feel it when you watch it on TV, but definitely being in that stadium, you feel the way these guys are playing. You feel that they believe they can do something special. And again, I've been given no reason to think otherwise. So, Michigan fans, it's okay, man. This is what we do. We bleed maize and blue. You can't fade. You can't choose when to be passionate about a team and when not to. You got to love this team with everything you got, year in, year out. Be proud to represent the Block M. You're going to cry together. You're going to laugh together. And you're going to see some great football together as well. And ultimately, I think this week is going to be big. We put out a big game. We could start to really let our guard down a little bit more each week.
I'm really surprised, by the way, that Zuri's not reacting to your dog barking. Normally that would get her all right.
Sorry, yeah, we got a little bit of an audience. That's my dog Whopper. He's trying to tell everybody, guys, let your guard down. It's fine. Dogs know nothing else but to love. That's the only thing. A dog, you come home with a bad day, a dog doesn't know that. He just wants to give you a hug and a kiss. So I think that's Whopper trying to tell, the Michigan fan base, it's okay, guys. Just be like me. Just love.
Well, with that in mind, we are now at the point where we need to tell you what we think is going to happen. Jake, how do you see this game going for the Wolverines as they host the undefeated Rutgers Scarlet Knights? By the way, this is the first time that they are 3-0 since 2012. So that's pretty important to note. But how do you feel like Michigan is going to fare? What's going to happen in this game in your mind's eye?
So I'm expecting, and this week I do want to see us to continue to put out a dominant run performance. I'm looking for Michigan to hit the 200-yard mark in the rushing game, and just pretty much impose our will against Rutgers. I'm looking for us to be dominant on defense. I'd like to see us hold them to under 10 points, under 250 yards total. Again, that just would kind of confirm what I believe this team is capable of. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And again, it's going to be a little bit more of what we've seen so far. It seems to be Michigan's identity: ground and pound, play good, sound defense, and look for opportunities in the pass game. So I'm looking to see a little bit more of the same.
I think we're going to see probably more of the same as well. I am predicting another 300-yard rushing game, only because it's happened 3 times before. I feel like they're just going to keep trying to get 300 yards on the ground until someone comes out and says they can't. Which I think probably would be Wisconsin, because Wisconsin's number 1 in the country and disallowing people to run the ball against them. But I think Michigan will even have a little bit of success against the Badgers, just based off of the blocking. You're seeing the offensive line doing everything it's doing. So I think certainly if they're able to do it next week, they'll be able to do it this week. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you're seeing the offensive line, the tight ends, all just so involved and willingly just running down the field, making big blocks. And the running backs taking advantage of it. I think they're going to continue to see that. I think you'll see passing game pretty much probably about the same as you've seen, maybe a little bit more, maybe 20 passes rather than 17. But I think it's going to be pretty close to about the same. I think Michigan rolls, but I think it looks a little bit hairy for a little while. Kind of one of those games where at halftime, no one's feeling comfortable, but third quarter things change. So with that in mind, Jake, final score prediction. What do you have?
Well, I hope you're wrong, and I'm going to disagree with you because I like the way Michigan's been we've been starting fast, and that's really important. So I do think we're significantly better than this Rutgers team in all three phases. So I would like to see us start fast and kind of shut this game down early. And I've undershot us quite a bit lately. So I'm gonna kind of self-correct. I got Michigan winning 35-10. And starting the Big Ten off with a dominant win.
So you and I are pretty close on our score predictions. I've got Michigan 35-14. I do want to caution against like you said, all three phases. Michigan's been, I believe they're number 2 in the country in special teams, according to Pro Football Focus. I don't remember where Rutgers ranks because I didn't see that, but I mean, you got to watch out because they've got guys like Avery Young and Aaron Cruikshank. They can put several different guys back there. I mean, I remember even back in 2015, 2016, Harbaugh saying he was on high alert for Rutgers special teams, along with pass defense. That's been something that the Scarlet Knights have been very good at. As bad as it's been, that team has been when it was a doormat in the conference. Special teams was something they were always really capable of. So, nonetheless, well, that'll do it. We've got a game tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Obviously around, it'll be ending around 24-ish hours from the point that we end this. Certainly, by the time you listen to this, it will be long over, I'm assuming. Or no, not. I have things. My temporal area is not going well. But it won't be 24 hours is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, for Jake Butt, the Mackey Award-winning tight end, I am Isaiah Hole. Thank you for listening and or watching. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.